Hello, NCTE. This is Tim Slekar, the Dean of the School of Education at Edgewood College in Madison, and this is my little part for the presentation with Todd and Kathy. I'm talking about how I ended up being the co-creator, moderator, host of a website, podcast, blog called Busted Pencils. Okay, I'm a father, and 6 years ago, No Child Left Behind reared its ugly head, and my wife, Michelle, and I went to a conference where our son's teacher told us that if he used, quote, woohoo to open a sentence, that he would get that wrong on the test and would fail the test, and that would hurt her. Ever since then, we've moved into the realm of activism, and we decided right at that moment we were going to opt our son out. Got on Fox TV, CNN, different things, and at that same year, I think it was 2011, was invited to the Save Our Schools March in Washington, D.C. So my wife and I went down to that march to be part of the protest and did a discussion group about opting out. Met a lot of really cool people. Met Matt Damon's mom, who Matt Damon's mom, you'll see, plays a pretty big role in Busted Pencils. But more than that, met some other activists who together we formed United Opt Out, and one of those other people, a person named Sean Johnson, had a blog called At the Chalk Face and wanted to do a radio show, and we put together what was more of a podcast radio show called At the Chalk Face. Did that, and we started recognizing that people were listening and enjoyed the show. Why? Because what we tried to do from the very beginning was to make sure that the way we talk about education was to talk about it from the point of view of saying, I need my next door neighbor to understand what we're talking about, because there are no other narratives about public education out there that help our neighbors understand. All they hear is mainstream media news, typically, which is either problematic or one-sided, or God forbid, as they typically do on the news, one side, the other side, you decide what's right, instead of saying, hey, here's where the research says what we should be talking about. And so we know all of that, us as academics, that's never out there. So we did we did Chalkface for a while, and then I moved to Madison, Wisconsin to become the Dean of the School of Education, and my wife and I decided that we were going to take Busted Pencils. I left At the Chalkface, and we created, Busted Pencils Fully Leaded Education Talk. What was it? It was an idea, again, to just say that we're going to put an alternative narrative out there because mainstream media fails to talk about education policy and education issues in a way that motivates, gets people ready to do what's right, and again, misses that advocacy part for what we know is best for kids. And so checking out Busted Pencils, what you're going to do here with Todd, you're going to hear the very first part. You're going to hear what we do with this is that we take Busted Pencils and we put it in a more punk rock format, come at it with an attitude and a little bit more fun. And I know Todd's going to play the opening to the very first part of our latest show. Check out the whole show when you get a chance and listen to this superintendent who's actually threatening to cancel high school unless the state steps up and funds him fully. But you'll hear the way I do the news, how we take an edge and try to put forward a new narrative. So Busted Pencils, the result of my wife and I taking our own son and then our daughter too, and recognizing that if we don't advocate for our own children, which then we realize we're advocating for all children who don't have that ability or somebody not, to get out of the accountability movement and to move further and further deep into deep learning. Because deep learning is what we want. How do you do that? Let's have some fun, and let's create a show called Busted Pencils, and let's create a website, and let's talk to all kind of influential people, and let's put out there an alternative narrative so that people can support public education. So Busted Pencils, Fully Leaded Education Talk. Todd, play the opening, and thank you all for coming, and check me out on bustedpencils.com or follow me at Slekar. Thank you.